Greetings and welcome. We extend a warm welcome to the second devlog for our studio's game Alligori. This endeavor involves the development of a 3D co-op adventure game bearing a resemblance to the iconic Legend of Zelda series and enriched with a town building and crafting system. Our journey began approximately 3 months ago with preliminary planning initiating on August 4th and has officially transitioned into a 6-month development cycle which started on September 5th. For those who wish to catch up on our progress to date, we encourage you to revisit our first devblog. In this presentation, I will address the following key topics: character controller development and its desired user experience, introduction of new gameplay features, including puzzles, health systems, and more, a comprehensive look at our newly implemented dungeon art, and finally an exciting announcement at the very end of this video. We are pleased to announce that our Steam page for Alligori has been approved, and we cordially invite you to consider adding it to your wishlist. The act of wishlisting smaller indie games like ours plays a pivotal role in gauging interest in forecasting our project's launch success. Although the current page may lack extensive content, we are committed to updating it in February towards the end of our development cycle with new artwork, gameplay, and a teaser trailer. So please consider wishlisting our game on Steam. Moreover, we maintain a friendly and inclusive Discord community where we actively share development updates, ranging from unedited in-progress development videos to art updates. Our discussions encompass a wide array of topics, from Dungeons & Dragons to game development as a whole. Stay tuned for the significant announcement at the end of this video, which will directly involve you and our Discord community. Alright, let's kick things off with our character controller. We've set up the animations that you saw in the previous devblog and got the character up and running in an early alpha state. It's still pretty rough around the edges, but we'll be polishing it throughout November, pushing it more into a beta phase. Getting the controls and feel for the character locked down early on is something we're really focused on, especially with dungeon crawling and combat being such a prominent feature in this game. The character arc from the Super Nintendo game Terranigma is a big inspiration for how we want Ravi, our character, to play in Alligori. We look forward to letting you test it out in our playtesting session. Last month we didn't have much to show, but we hit all of our milestones this month and are making good progress towards a fully playable vertical slice by February. This month we've got the inventory system up and running, allowing players to pick up items, place them in chests, as well as exchange them between players. We set up a basic damage and healing system, which branches off into death pit damage, as in pits that damage you, traps which damage, and much more. In addition to this, we've also begun setting up our damage formulas for how much incoming damage will scale with the player's armor value, and how a player's damage will scale with enemies throughout the game. Using the healing system as a basis, we'll be able to eventually set up potions which regenerate a player's life over time, as well as the Holy Hammer weapon, which has a beam that'll tether onto an ally and regenerate their life over time. Right now we have it so that the Holy Hammer will heal with a tethered beam to an ally, revive an ally, and smash obstacles in front of you as part of puzzles and character progression. However though, the amulets in Alligori will alter what weapon abilities can do. The Apostate's amulet will morph the revive skill from the hammer, the Holy Hammer, into a reincarnate skill, now targeting enemies rather than players, offering a new unique playstyle. Players will be able to now revive not only normal enemies, but as well as bosses to fight for you. Kind of like DevBlog02. Lastly, let's talk about dungeon art. We've been hard at work hammering out the dungeon art for the Waterfall Cave, which is the first dungeon in the game and the sole dungeon present in this vertical slice. Dungeons in Alligori will be built using modular tiles, which will range from the size of units, ranging from straight wall pieces, corner pieces, stairs, and more. This will allow us to really capture the essence of those classic hack-and-slash games you played on the Super Nintendo. As of right now, we have 3 types of doors planned, excluding the entrance to the dungeon. They are barred doors, which require a player to meet a room's requirement for it to open, locked doors, which require a small key, and of course a boss door, which requires boss keys. Alligori will be a single-player game with multiplayer co-op capabilities, so this means that dungeons will be soloable. However though, having additional players will make the experience easier, or rather more convenient. An example of this is having 2 pressure plates in a room that requires a weighted object to be pushed down on top of them. The player of course counts as one, and the weighted object counts as the second. In a single player experience, the player would naturally have to push the block onto the pressure plate, and he or she would have to stand on the other, thus solving the puzzle and opening the door. In a co-op experience, both players could simply step on the pressure plate, thus opening the door, bypassing the need to solve the puzzle. Dungeons in Alligori will scale in difficulty based on how many players are in your session. As previously mentioned in our first devblog, dungeons will be procedurally built. When you have additional players in your sessions, dungeons will compensate with additional rooms and puzzles. Monsters will, in addition, also scale in difficulty as well. Well guys, that wraps up this second devblog. I'm really satisfied with how Alligori is coming along and the strides we've been making towards a playable but also enjoyable vertical slice. Let's talk about November and what we can expect. We have 3 big milestones, which are polishing the character controller, integrating Steam with Alligori so that we can push a playable build out, and host a playtesting session. Speaking of which, let's talk about that big announcement. As mentioned, we're going to have a playtesting session that'll be happening in the final week of November, going from the 27th to the 1st of December. That's the last week. We have 2 waves of playtesting we're planning, with this first wave meant to gauge people's reactions and feedback for our character controller. This build will be deployed over Steam and organized in our Discord community. We'll be giving a very short but sweet survey where you can give some feedback on your experience, which we implore you to give. Your feedback is of course vital to the development of Alligori and will affect how the game feels moving forward. With that said, we've come to the end of this second devblog. I want to personally thank you all for showing an interest in our game Alligori. Go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell icon to get updates for when we frequently post raw development of footage and these end of the month devblogs. Check out our Discord in the description so you can join the playtesting session next month. And as always, see you later.